Well, good afternoon, everyone. I know everyone is on edge with the incredibly dry weather we've been having. We're watching what's happening out west with the wildfires, really across the country, and it's certainly bring up memories and fears of what this province went through just 2 short years ago. We're seeing municipalities in Nova Scotia begin to take water conservation action with really no end in sight to this dry spell that we're experiencing right now in Nova Scotia. We're hearing from rural fire departments that are worried about low water levels in the ponds and lakes that they use, and really about their overall ability to respond to emergencies. And across the country, there are over 700 fires burning. Natural resource departments across the entire country are stretched very thin right now. So like Minister Rushton and Scott and the whole team, and so many Nova Scotians, I'm losing sleep about what's happening, and that's why we're here today. So as a society, we must do everything possible to protect each other, to protect our communities, to protect property, and of course to protect lives. Last week we issued a province-wide burn ban. That was absolutely necessary. As tinder dry conditions continue to persist from one end of the province to the other, the risk of wildfires increases, and the risk is very, very high right now. We've had briefings from Environment Canada about the near-term forecast, and there is no significant rain in sight. This means more dryness, and it means more risk. We're here today because the experts have advised, and we agree, that more precautionary steps are required. We have to stay in front of this. We can take steps while we are in the middle of trying to fight fires, or we can be proactive and try to prevent them. And we have chosen to be proactive and try to prevent fires. So based on the recommendations of Scott Tingley and his team, they recommended, and we agree with the following. Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000. And if you're a smoker, for God's sakes, be mindful of where you're butting your butt out. If you don't, and you cause a fire, we will hold you accountable. So what does this mean if you have a home or cottage surrounded by a wooded area? We strongly encourage you to stay out of those woods, regardless of where they are. Please don't do anything that could unnecessarily put you, your family, or your neighbors at risk. This situation sucks. Summer is one of the best times in Nova Scotia, and we all look forward to getting outdoors and enjoying our scenic beauty that surrounds us. I get that, and I'm right there with you as Nova Scotians. But you can still go to the beach. In fact, that's a great place to be on these hot, dry days. Just no bonfires. If there's a short trail to get from point A to point B, like from the parking to the beach or to the lake to fish, that's fine. But that's it. No heading into the woods to spend time there. I know it's inconvenient. I know it's the height of summer vacation and people want to do all the activities that we so much enjoy in our great outdoors. We have a beautiful province. I know everybody wants to enjoy it, but we have to stay out of the woods. It's a small price to pay right now to avoid the kind of devastation that we saw from the wildfires in 2023. Nobody wants to go back there. Nobody wants a repeat of that. And staying out of the woods is what's necessary right now for the safety of your families, your friends, and your neighbors. We've seen Nova Scotians come together in the past to protect each other. This year's fire season has been relatively quiet, but the forecast is extremely worrying. So we have the burn ban, and we're adding another layer of protection with these restrictions right now. And let's remember, it's not just your family and your home or your business that we're trying to protect. It's also our firefighters. Earlier today, our government took steps to protect municipal and volunteer firefighters safety by ensuring safer training environments. Many of these same firefighters fight wildfires alongside our DNR crews. We need all Nova Scotians to help keep our firefighters safe, along with everyone else, by following the measures we put in place. So I'm counting on you to do the right thing. Don't light a campfire, stay out of the woods, and stay safe. And I think with that, Minister Rushton has a few comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. So yes, as the Premier said, we have already had about 100 wildfires this season in Nova Scotia. They've all been very small, but our crews have been able to manage them and extinguish them quickly. But that could change in a heartbeat. It's incredibly dry out there right now. And the fires we're seeing right now are burning deeper into the root system and going deep underground. And that kind of fire takes a long time to put out, which is exhausting our resources. Only a significant amount of rain will change these conditions for Nova Scotia. So until then, we need to step up our vigilance. That's why we put the burn ban in place last week, and that's why today we are restricting travel activities in the woods. Like the burn ban, restrictions for the woods are in place until the end of the wildfire season, or until we can determine that conditions have changed enough to lift these bans and restrictions. And like the burn ban, the fine for violating these conditions and restrictions is $25,000. The restrictions apply both to provincial Crown land and to private land. As the Premier said, the aim is to limit unnecessary travel in the woods and activities. Going for a hike is nice, going on an ATV trail is fun, but right now is not the time. So our message to the majority of Nova Scotians, please stay out of the woods. We're asking everyone to cooperate and be sensible in applying these rules to help keep our people and our community safe. Don't look for loopholes. If you have to ask your question, should I or could I? The approach is probably don't do it. And if you have a level-headed conversation question, please call your local DNR office. I want to note, we're not interfering with people's livelihoods. Lots of people make their living in the woods. It's necessary for them to go into the woods. But times can change when work takes place in the woods. So they can get a permit to carry out their operations on Crown lands. They may need to operate at night, which can take place. For example, forestry operations can take place at night, and we've already heard from some contractors that have made this switch. If you're on private land, they don't need a permit, but we're still encouraging that same change. I understand these restrictions mean that some people will need to change their plans and routines. But when compared to the damage that we saw in 2023, it's not a risk to take. It's simply a matter of caring about your fellow Nova Scotians and your neighbours, caring enough to adapt to a change for a little while, all to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
I just want to note before we get into questions that Scott Tingley is here. He's the Manager of Forest Protection for the Department of Natural Resources. And Andrew Mitten is the Director of Regional Operations for the Department of Emergency Management. They may help out with some of the questions. We have folks in the room and on Zoom, so we'll start with like one question, one follow-up in the room.
Minister Rushton, I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what's going to be allowed under permit on Crown land. Would a forestry operation have to operate at night to get that permit, or is that just an example of how a permit might work?
In 2023, we're sort of copying catting what we did in 2023 and restricting industrial activities, certain places, certain times. When they apply for that permit, I understand they'll have conversations about locations and things. I don't want to presuppose what each permit will take place. I don't know if Scott has anything to add to that, but there will be some criteria that they do have to meet.
Nothing really to add, just that they'll be case by case, depending on what the operation is and where they have to access and things like that. So,
have any $25,000 fines been levied during the summer?
So I believe to date it's been 7 that have been applied.
Question for the Premier or the Minister. What is the plan for enforcement of this?
So the enforcement is very similar to now with the burn restrictions. Even before the burn ban was put into place last year, our conservation officers could be called out to an illegal burn in a certain area, and they do their investigation and deem if charges need to be laid. So it's really no different than that. But I will highlight that municipal officers, RCMP, can still apply these enforcement engagements as well. So we're asking people, we don't want to be putting charges on people. We're just asking people just follow the rules right now. It's tinder dry. We I enjoy campfire just like anybody else, but it's tinder dry right now. So let's get some rain before we can enjoy those summertime activities.
And can you provide some more details just about private landowners and what they shouldn't be doing in the wooded areas of their properties when it comes to hosting others?
Yeah, so no, we for example, recreation, just stay out of the woods. There are times that you can go into the woods and there's times that you can't. This is one of them. It's tinder dry out there, but if there are activities that need to be done, if you need to do silviculture in your land or a forestry activity on private land, no, you don't need a permit for private land. But we're encouraging those landowners and those contractors, and many of them already have changed, but to move to nighttime operations versus daytime. The temperatures have dropped, wind's less, and the humidity is a little higher in the evenings, which would keep a fire at bay if something were to start.
Premier, you spoke about concerns about water shortages, water conservation, how that's worrying local fire departments. Is there a plan there for water distribution or addressing that in any way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're working with the local municipalities and with the local departments, and this is all in prevention is the key part of the plan right now. I mean, we were all praying for rain. We've been praying for rain for a few weeks now, and we'll continue to do that. But prevention is something that is within our control. When it rains is not within our control. So we're focusing on the things that are within our control and are within the control of Nova Scotians. So stay out of the woods. Be respectful. The minister said it best. Don't look for loopholes. This is a serious time. The risk is very high.
Do you have a sense of when Nova Scotia last enforced rules this stringent in the woods?
Yeah, 2023 during the wildfires, we actually had. This is pretty much a copycat of what took place in 2023 with travel restrictions into the woods.
And do you have a sense of how much rain or water you would need in order to ease things?
We're not looking at a day of rain. We're actually looking at a prolonged 2, 3, 4 day period of rain with and as explained to me by the department staff, a good downpour that we saw 2 weeks ago in Cumberland County does not do any justice. It runs off. We need a few days of rain, similar to what we saw in 2023. We had to engage these restrictions in 2023, followed by 7 or 8 days of good rain at times. So that's what we're looking for, is a prolonged period of rain over the course of a few days at least.
And how do these measures compare to what other provinces have done?
Yeah, look, we're a little bit different than most provinces. We have more private land than Crown land to look at. But like doing a scan, there's been fire bans put in place in other provinces. We're seeing an extreme weather this summer in many provinces. We're seeing a lot of fire activity the last couple of years across the country. And as the Premier said, I think there's about 700 fires burning right now in Canada. So our resources, not just as a province but as a nation, are getting stretched thin. So we're just asking for some precautions till we do see some weather events happen.
Let's go to the Zoom if you don't mind. Ian Fairclough, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here. I guess the first question is with the enforcement, are we at the stage now 3 years into these types of bans and being pretty proactive in making sure people wear them? Are we at the point of zero tolerance now for writing those $25,000 tickets?
Yeah. Yes, yes, we are. I mean, the reason in 2023 that we increased the amount of the fine was to send a message on the seriousness of the situation, and we've kept it there because it's a serious situation. So now with the fire, we have a good system in this province with the Check Before You Burn website. It's very informative for Nova Scotians. Nova Scotians are starting to use that. We need them to respect it, and for the vast majority of Nova Scotians, they do respect that. But I think the minister said there's been around seven fines issued this year. Those are people that didn't respect it, and by not respecting it, created some danger for themselves, for their neighbors, for their communities, for Nova Scotians, and there's no reason for that. So we have a very little zero tolerance for those that just really take an action that tells us they don't care about their community, because we do, and we want them to as well. So we're serious, and on the enforcement of the restrictions today, we're serious as well. This is too serious of a situation. The risk is too high. There's no need for unnecessary risk, and we need Nova Scotians to respect that. And for those who don't respect it, we'll fine them, and we'll fine them.
Ian, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, part of that, people not taking those risks. I know that fireworks, private fireworks, retail fireworks are banned at the same time through the restrictions. But my understanding is that the fines for that just fall under the Fire Safety Act and are only like $400 and some dollars. Is there any thought to placing those in the regulations so that setting fireworks off during a ban would also bring that $25,000 fine?
That sounds like a good idea to me. Should be.
Patrick, you're on the line as well. Did you have any questions? If you're speaking, Heidi, I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was searching for the unmute. The 7 fines that have been laid so far, where were they geographically in the province? What was the distribution? Do you know?
Heidi, I wouldn't have that information right at hand, and we'll see what we can share with you following up with Adele afterwards.
Thank you.
Come back to the room. Any further questions?
For the Premier, I do have a question on behalf of a colleague. The Independent Monitor's report on the 5-year remedy for care and housing of people with disabilities came out Friday. It suggests you and your office make the remedy, quote, a major policy priority that requires sustained involvement by your office and key departments like health. Would you see yourself and your office taking a more direct role in ensuring the remedy stays on track?
We're already taking a role in that. I think the province is making progress. There's work to be done for sure, but it's a government effort.
I think the question here is about the pacing and ensuring things are staying on track going forward. Is that a commitment you're making?
Yeah, we have a great team on that. Fantastic minister and a dedicated, the people at the department are dedicated. They care. We all care. We all want progress, including the Premier.
I have a question as well, just for our national team, and it's on tariffs as well. So Scott Moe has called for the feds to start removing Canadian retaliatory tariffs on the Americans because he says they're hurting Canadian businesses. What are your thoughts on that?
There's all kinds of schools of thought for sure, and I put my faith in the federal government and the negotiating team that are there. They have more information on this. They're actively engaged in the file, so what they think is necessary, I'm supportive of that. But certainly we need to stay together as a country, and there are different tools available to them. Counter tariffs are one tool. There are other tools as well. So I think it's the time to respect their work and their knowledge of the situation and get behind them, and that's what I'm doing.
And that's about all the time that we've got, unless you can take one more on this topic of fire.
No, it's for CTV. Just wondering if there's been any movement on granting mayors any more power?
No, it's just a discussion. It's a topic of discussion, probably more of a topic of discussion in the media with the pundits than it is with us. But certainly we want people at all levels of government to have the tools necessary to properly govern, and it's a discussion that's happening for sure. But there's no more movement than the discussion.
Ask about fires. Is there any talk of sending support to Newfoundland, or can we risk sending people away with the risk level so high here in Nova Scotia?
So what I'll do is I'll ask Scott. We have an agreement nationally, and maybe I'll ask Scott a little bit about that. But the request would have to come in through a CIFC program, if Scott can.
Yeah, as the minister mentioned, it's all coordinated through the Canadian Energy Forest Fire Centre in Winnipeg. We haven't received any formal requests from the province of Newfoundland to support. We would certainly assess one if they did send a request in. And we have been supporting other provinces across the country when we can. The first thing we always do is assess our situation here in Nova Scotia. We always want to cover the home front, but we'll certainly help wherever we can.
And just on private land, does the province have no legal authority to restrict activity on private land? Is that why you're not doing it there?
No, the permit process would be on Crown land. We're still saying we want activity to stop on private land as well. Industrial side of things, we're asking them to move over to a nighttime regime similar to what we'd ask for on Crown land as well.
But you couldn't require permits to harvest wood on.
No, I don't think there's an avenue to do that, Brian.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.